We are here today to announce that the Justice Department has secured felony guilty pleas from the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance.
Actually, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Largest virtual.
Binance.
Binance. And let me be clear. It's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
This time is different and all alarm bells are going off right now. Oh my god, Patient Hodler said this time is different, this time is different is a rule that you can't just say that. But in this case, we do not have a chance. This time will be different. And it's pure facts. It's pure facts. This time will be different for crypto either way, like for crypto and for the overall market, if you look at it. And I will show you in the stream exactly why this time is going to be different and what the two outcomes are and why we're so split in this crypto space at the moment between bulls and bears. It will all make sense right now, so make sure to stick through the entire stream. And we're also going to talk about what is happening with this mega burn of 221 billion Ecomi tokens and whether it's going to influence the price or not. And there are a couple of things and considerations to it. And I want to discuss that with you. So let's go. So let's go. Welcome everyone. And by the way, because I saw it already, no coffee now, that is wrong. I have my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, because it is in the afternoon, 4:30 p.m. CET. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee. And I have to say sorry for everyone who was sitting here every morning watching out for Crypto Morning Coffee. If you were subscribe to this channel as a rare hodler, like all these guys here around me, then you would know from the Telegram group that I was actually traveling. I was in California. Specifically, I was in Long Beach. I had a good time, work-wise, so otherwise I would, exactly, Z-Phaser, put some coffee in the beer. So yeah, I see a lot of people here, so let's see who's here. So Z-Phaser obviously here, already chatting since before the stream. Green Lantern is here. G-Money is here. What's going on? Mo Collections is here. Good to see you. Wes is here. Also good to see you. Like Wes is, I think, really famous right now in this fam. Andy Singh is also here. Don't have to worry about, says Gemmet, says, don't worry about it entering the CS since it's burned. So that's positive. We are going to talk about that. Z-Phaser is putting, meanwhile, his coffee into the beer. I don't know how that is, but probably that already exists, right, as a drink. We'll get coffee now, frag this, exactly. We are going to sleep a little bit later. Also, I am still heading to the gym today, so why not put already a coffee into this? Russ Gould also here, Metacade ready to pump. Russell, top CEO, managing it well. Yeah. Metacade is a good project, great project. We can talk about altcoins as well, but I want to show you why this time is going to be different and why we're breaking the rule of usually in crypto it is like there's a 4-year cycle, you buy then, you sell then, and yeah, and this time it's going to be different. So let's look at first what is going on in the market. So you see this here, hopefully I will try to increase this a little bit. There you go. So this is the Fed funds rate and recessions, right? And we've talked about this before. Like in the last 3 times, even in the many times, and all of the times before, until 85, basically what happens is rate cut, and then at some point, oh shit, we are in a recession, right? And then he rate cut, the peak of the cuts, plateau, rate cut, recession. Peak of the rate cuts, plateau, cut, recession. Peak of plateau, cut, recession, right? So small recession, and then straight to zero. But also what you see is, what you can already note is rate cuts coming to a low plateau, and the recession is already over. Like recession very short, right? The recession is very, very short. It's only a year or so. Helen says, is this time's different because of the ETFs? I don't think so. I think the ETFs, they're just a vehicle, but the money flow is what's important, right? Do people have money or don't they? Is there money injected into the market or is there not? But the narrative here is, if the Fed cuts, then there is a recession. So what's going to happen also is, look at this. So here are the rate cuts, but here's also the S&P 500, which is basically the tech stocks, every time going into a crisis right at the pivot, right at where they cut. And if you zoom very much in, there's something that many people get wrong, and that is people think they cut and that leads to the crisis, but actually they are usually cutting because they're seeing the first warning signs of a crisis, like for example unemployment rate going up, right? We will see this later as well. We are in this already. Like the unemployment is getting higher. Tech companies are laying off people like crazy, like 10% of workforce gone at whatever. Like we already had this last year with Facebook, Meta and so on. Layoffs have already been happening, but then the job market was still strong. Now it cannot be absorbed anymore, and they also had wrong numbers, right? So we see this here, cut, crisis, and also the market crashes. Now here's the thing that is really weird and where we are getting into the point. So the cut happens, market drops into a crisis, and like the stock market crashes every single time in the past 3 cutting cycles, even here. Although, and here is already a little bit different, something happened between 2008 and here, where you have the cut, you have the crash, you also have a mini recession, but then it's just pumping again. It's not like this crash, which takes a long time. It's just a minuscular crash. And then the financial bazooka came out and printed it all away. And this is crucial, in my opinion, to understanding what is going to happen with us here. And also, by the way, like this time with you buy when, like, it's not as clean, right? Because this is from a Reddit post, and they basically say buy Fed rate hikes and sell the first to the last cut. And if this is the playbook, then you're going to see a sell-off just because of self-fulfilling prophecy. So our flash crash, our crash is still in the cards, like it was here, right? So you reach, but we reached this level here. So you cut, the crash is in the cards, right? Okay, so good for now. Now let's check out, and it will come all together. But now let's check out where we are currently in our Bitcoin cycle, right? So for Bitcoin, and this is the other side, for Bitcoin things are looking way more bullish, right? So we have this massive bull flag that we're talking about since February. So like this. So there's no sign of a crash. So the market is very undecided, right? And the market is waiting out. So this is the ETFs. As Helen rightfully said, the ETFs were a catalyst. This is the ETF pump. But now we have the ETFs and we are moving in this undecided thing. And where is the market undecided? So we know that the market hates uncertainty. And there is an uncertainty. It's going to be cleared out in 3 days. And that is whether the rate cut is going to be 25 or 50 basis points. But the market knows there is a rate cut coming. So the rate cut in itself is not what leads to the crash. Otherwise, because we're already at 100% guaranteed rate cut, why aren't we crashing already? So, okay, that is not the case. And the other thing that is also a little bit different is, and we are coming to it, is global liquidity. But let's look first at Bitcoin. So if we zoom out here for Bitcoin, you see that we are in a massive cup and handle pattern, right? So I've discussed this in the latest video. Whoever saw this video, you also see this massive cup, and here's our handle, right? There is a nice comparison in the gold chart for this. Okay, so from a technical standpoint, market structure standpoint, we have a cup that looks almost the same, and we have a handle that looks almost the same. So, and what happened afterward, funny enough, is breakout, crash, and then go, right? So could this actually happen for us here as well, like it happened for gold, knowing that gold front runs Bitcoin every time? We're going to analyze this a little bit later, but could this be happening as well? Well, now the big question is, if everyone wants to press the sell button, but actually maybe the central banks of this world are colluding at the moment to print this crisis away, to make 1 or 2 turns of government possible, right? Then maybe something is different. And we see this here also, like gold is breaking out like crazy at the moment. Gold is having a run. Like we had this guy Stu here on the channel, in the chat. He predicted gold 80,000. So far, Stu is on the ride, right? 3% up. $2,577 for gold. By the way, guys, 30 people here. Smash up the like button. We're going to go and dig deeper into this. So there are 2 scenarios right now. We know that Bitcoin is correlated to the stock market. So if the stock market was to crash like this because of the high cut, then Bitcoin would lose its support and would immediately go into its bear market. Okay, together with the stock market, which also would mean that for the first time in Bitcoin's history, there would not be the final expansion phase of that we had here, right? So we would be basically in this part, and we would lose it here, right? We would go into this expansion and sideways continuation, but we would lose it here. So we would cut out this for the first time. So this already shows you either something happens and we get our expansion, but then it's different because we don't crash on the rates, or we don't get the expansion, but then it's different because every time Bitcoin has been going into this phase. So these 2 things are contradicting, and it never happened in Bitcoin's history so far. Let's go into another chart of Bitcoin, because this one is only for me to show you very clean what is in a macro going. Like you bottom, we are having our pre-bull, and technically our expansion phase comes now, this phase, right? But now let's look a little bit more at Bitcoin's history. Let's get rid of the lines. And look at Bitcoin's history on the logarithmic scale, very, very broad, right? As far as we can go behind, or as far as we can go into the past. And let's look at a couple of things here. So first of all, indicator-wise, let's look at the TSI as we always do, the true strength indicator. So the true strength indicator shows us when a bull market starts and ends, until now, without any errors on the 1 month time frame. So very important time frame. So we see here, bull cross initiates the bull market perfectly, right? Here. So you see it's already going up, but here's the bull cross, and the bear cross perfectly tells us when the bull market is over. So right now, fast forward where we are, we had a bull cross, we went into our expansion, but it did not yet bearishly cross. So until now, the bull market is not over. So definitely whatever is going to happen has not hit yet. So now it's a lagging indicator because it depends on all the action that is happening for Bitcoin. But it has still not crossed bearishly. So the bear cross hasn't happened yet. So we are technically due an expansion very, very shortly. So the second thing that is coming up is the elections. Another uncertainty. So uncertainty of rate cuts, but then also uncertainty of elections, because they don't know who wins, Trump or Kamala. One of them will win. The moment that they win, the market has certainty. The market always likes certainty. In the crypto space, the market, or in every space, the market probably will like it a little bit more if Trump wins than if Kamala wins, right? But so far, so good. This is another uncertainty to be cleared out. Now let's look at another one, and that is the Fed funds rate indicator. Is it really so that you can buy the cut, like basically that you can sell the first cut and then buy? Can I overlay this? Let me see and bring it into. No, that was the wrong space. One second. Let's delete this one and let's bring it to the panel here. So okay, now we basically have this as an overlay for our Bitcoin logarithmic chart. So we can see here, yeah, it's actually true. Technically, you can sell this, right? You can sell this part until we hit zero rates. You can sell here and buy back here. It's technically true. So, but we also have only one cutting cycle for the funds rate, right? So you see here, because then before that Bitcoin did not exist. So we have a very, very small sample size here on this. But you can you can sell the cut, and you can buy back in based on this one cycle, right? And then you have the crisis crash here, and you would buy back in at some point here, and you're fine, right? And then you have the expansion. So the question is, if we cut here, will we have the same crash type style and then come back, right? Because also here, it's funny because we had the rates, so the economy crashed, but the rates quickly dropped to zero. So the moment we are at zero, we're basically rallying. So the question is how fast will it be this time? And could this stretch our current cycle, right? Now, what speaks against a crash is usually these cuts, they came along, but quantitative easing happened only here. So the question is, if they do already quantitative easing worldwide, will the crash be as deep, or will this just be like this without the C crisis, right? So just another curve up. It takes very long. People are getting flooded out of the market. The rates are dropping, but everything just moves sideways. Maybe a 20% crash or something like that, flash crash, wick down, whatever. This is a potential scenario. Let's see here if I can pick a ghost feed or a, like this here. If we copy this here, let's see, like until the rally, if we copy this in here and we get, now we can't see anything because I can't do that without the lines, but basically look at that. So if we copy this, what happened with the C crisis here, it would basically bring us to 43K, like in a flash crash in 1 month. Like you come up a little bit, you get rejected, bam, flash crash, and then you curve out into your bull run, right? But it would bring us into mid-2025 if it happens in the same way. So that would be crazy. So that would also be different, right? So this is basically where two scenarios can mix. The stock market crashes, Bitcoin crashes together, then the financial bazookas of this world are coming out to treat the problem, and then everything rallies. And we basically get a lengthening cycle, which is also the theory here. But if this all happens, will the indicators flash bear market and people will basically sell off more? That is a question, right? This is basically the gap where we're in between. Now, let me bring in one more thing, and this is really, really interesting. So this here, this is new on this channel. And by the way, thanks to the rare hodlers that are sponsoring this, because they are basically financing that I can use TradingView in this way now and basically bring all the stuff here. So one thing is different though, a little bit different from the ways before. When let's look also then at our rate cut cycle here. So this is global liquidity of the entire world, right? And what you can see here is that as of July 24, we broke out in global liquidity. So for the first time since February 2022, global liquidity is expanding. And every time global liquidity broke out of these things, like here, Here we had the breakout and then the backtest. We did not have the backtest here. So maybe this backtest could lead us into this crash, right? But look at how global liquidity behaves after breakout. It doesn't come back. It fakes in maybe like this, couple of 2 months or so, break back, huge crash. So this is August 19. Guess what? What happened? Bitcoin retraced on this, but then global liquidity breakout and we had a massive run. Now global liquidity has to go completely nuts this time. It will probably look like something like this. Let's also take the feed here. Like it will look like something like this. Something like this from breakout. And go into middle of 2026, right? And then probably something like this here happens. It has to be, because look at the debt of the US. Look at actually the first breakout target. You can take it here. I don't know, like this. I don't even know if we're on logarithmic, so maybe you can't. But nevertheless, so this is global liquidity. Now look at every time we have these cycles. This is a basically boom, like expansion, boom, and bust. And the bust always is like the sideways, draining global liquidity, hiking interest rates, and so on. So what we can do now is you can, for example, overlay the Bitcoin chart. Actually, that was not the plan. Let me quickly get rid of this. I want to have it differently, so I have the both scales. So you can put Bitcoin in this whole thing, but we don't have enough history, so we are going to show a little bit different also how other assets react. But what you can see here already is that if you put a Bitcoin overlay here, basically, look at this. You have this little retracement in global liquidity for the retest right here. Let's zoom in. Here. So and this sideways where global liquidity basically stalls and gets drained and rate hikes and whatnot is also where Bitcoin gets completely wrecked until global liquidity breaks out. Here's the breakout. Gets wrecked, breakout, and then from the breakout. Actually, that's not the breakout. That is the breakout. But here's another backtest that we don't have at the moment. But from the breakout until the massive expansion, it's almost 450 days, right? So, and if you take this backtest run up, then it was about 300 days, 330, so a little bit less than a year. So now you also see that basically here you already see that global liquidity comes a little bit to an end. It doesn't rise as fast anymore. And what happens to Bitcoin? It basically gets wrecked on the first red candles. It gets wrecked, and then global liquidity goes a little bit more, and it puts in this fake out, and then global liquidity goes away here, plateaus here, goes away. Bitcoin goes into absolute devastating bear market that we just survived, right? So and now what is happening here? Global liquidity is breaking out. It was completely wrecked here. Like here we had a little bit more global liquidity. Like here and here. And also see this, our expansion for the ETFs. Global liquidity, let's mark this really because it needs to be very, very clear. Here, so put this green. So here you have this and that results in this, right? That results in this. So a little bit earlier, you have the global liquidity breakout. It results in this, and then you have a global liquidity breakout, and it results in this, like in this formation. So what do you think the global liquidity breakout here is going to result in next, right? So here, this global liquidity break actually from here. So what's going to happen next here? What do you think? Right? Is the same as the global liquidity break that we have here until the first red candle, and the Bitcoin breakout that we have here, right? They are coinciding. You see this here. And then we can go even more. Look at in the past cycle, coming out of the bear market trough, the first bounce of global liquidity in here, and our bear market bottom. Right? Expansion leads to Bitcoin breakout. So this is where I say this time is different, because also if you say that the rate cut with already expanding global liquidity leads to a crash, then global liquidity also needs to come back somehow, right? Otherwise, it would be the first time ever that you can note where global liquidity expands, like here also, right? Global liquidity expands and Bitcoin does this. Boom. Okay? So it would be the first time that global liquidity actually expands without Bitcoin following it. I know there's a lot of like green squares here, but I hope you get the idea of what I'm doing here, right? So let's get rid of this. But I think the correlation at least is very clear. Also, the breakout pattern is the same, exactly the same as we had in these others, right? In the other scenarios. So let's also, maybe this is a good thing to put in, the Fed funds rate indicator. Although this is global liquidity and not US liquidity, but we can also see here, and this would prove basically that we are getting maybe this retest here, this crash, right? Look at this. So here, let's take a circle for this. So here, our cut happens, okay? And exactly where the cut happens, this happens. However they got to manage to turn down global liquidity in that sense, this also happens. And this is where Bitcoin also turns around and leads into this, basically the C crisis crash, right? So there is an argument to be made that the cut might lead to global liquidity come back and retest. Which means then, let's talk about strategy. Which means that if this was to happen, and we can draw in what would then likely happen. Let me draw. So likely then here, we get our retest and then pump, right? We've never failed this retest. We always had it here, and here we get this retest. And that also means if we get this retest, we get our crash. And this is now combining the both theories. At the same time, we are getting a 50 basis points cut, right? Which would be, not that far down, but you get the idea, right? And then they're like cutting, the market crashes, and they're like, oh my God, we have to cut more. Right? Bring this down. So that we are coming back to zero quickly. That might be a scenario. And I think this is why basically with this it's proven, it would be proven, and also Bitcoin does this, right? Bitcoin does this in the meantime, crash. I don't know how deep, right? This would be crazy, but anyways, like Bitcoin does a crash like this, so it would be more like this. Boop, oops, sorry, and then coming back up and go. This would be where all the people get fudded out that believe in a 4-year cycle based on the halving. It's not based on the halving. The halving doesn't matter, because if this year takes longer to break out, the entire bear market takes longer to break out. Now, the problem that I have with this is, and it's coming back to TA, which also shows you that this is market structure, this is market correlations, this is like real world events paired into charts, whatever, right? The problem that I have with this is, if you come back to our situation here, we might get come back up here in the next month or so. Everyone gets excited, we get rejected, and we dump into flash crash that closes in the bull flag, and then we go, right? It's possible. The question is, what happens if we get a crash so hard that basically it signals on every trader that we are in a bull market, in a bear market now? What happens if our TSI flashes bear market? What happens if our stochastic RSI flashes bear market, right? Now it already does, by the way. The stochastic RSI already does. So you get the point here, right? And now we basically found a way to combine this with what we have been seeing in gold. By the way, gold is going into crisis mode. When gold does this, we're in crisis mode. Together with a potential retest here, together with a maybe with the rate cuts and a flash crash. So that all makes sense. What is the strategy here now? I am not willing to exit my Bitcoin here and take the risk. Because if they quantitative ease this away before it even happens this time, which you can see in the basically in the previous cycles, like when the crashes don't happen anymore, right? You can basically see that here, since 2008 crisis, they're basically printing every crisis and every problem in the economy. They're just printing it away before the crash even happens too deep. Like the crashes, they're not like prolonged anymore. You see this here, they're very short, right? They're very short. So even the sea crisis, a global event where they shut down the entire economy, was not as heavy as the financial crisis in the US. So that's where I'm not risking to exit my crypto position, even though I might be running the risk of my portfolio being decimated by 50% and I could have just doubled my bags. So what is my strategy here? My strategy is, as long as this did not happen yet, I might as well pile on some cash to then buy very, very low, right? But let's see what you guys are saying here. So basically, let's see, like button smashed. Yeah, guys, 35 people here, so please smash the like button if you like this analysis. I know it took a while to get my point over, but I hope it makes sense. Rasgul says, man, you're clever to understand all this info. Thanks for explaining it all. I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't, please let me know in the chat so we can dig into one or the other thing that maybe doesn't make sense. Vitimon says, hey, Vitimon, the man of the hour. Boa tarde, PhD. Thank you for bringing some Portuguese in this chat. Your analysis is flowing smooth like usual. I agree with with Mo. Having cash ready to deploy is savvy with the current reading of the tea leaves. Yeah, absolute. Reading of beautiful painted lines, tea leaves, whatever. Roman Fry says, Omi burns are coming. Do you have some news about this? We will talk about this. It's not exactly what you want or what you expect, but it's definitely something that we need to talk about. Mo Collection says, what's scary is Bitcoin was born out of a recession. This will be its first potential recession. Yeah, with the exception that also during COVID, if you see here, see this small gray bar, do you see this? There also was a recession here, but they printed it away so fast. This is why, so they saw this recession in the data and they dropped the funds rate, the Fed fund rate from almost 2 to 0 in an instant. So very likely what market makers are going to do, or what these guys are going to do, the moment that they see the recession threatening anything like critical, they're probably going to drop the rate for 0. Everyone can refinance at very cheap rates. And then the bubble grows for another, I don't know how many years they can sustain it into our mega crash, right? At some point, it's just not going to work anymore. Because then, if they do this once more, like this, they're going to they have to refinance. Like the US has to refinance, China has to refinance, ECB, European Union, they have to refinance. So they have to do one thing. They have to print money and pay the interest rates on their debt. So the US, for example, has to pay, they have to print 3 billion per day, and pump that into the market just to stay even with the debt that they're taking on, right? So no more debt. It's just the interest rates. The rest of the debt will be rolled over into the next period. But that also means that 3 billion per day are hitting the market. And then plus all the stimulus that they're going to pump into the market via quantitative easing. How is that happening? They are taking tax money, but it's not enough because GDP is not rising enough. And they are going to print money, and with that money, they're going to buy assets. The adverse of what they did in the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, they stopped printing money and they sold assets, right? They offloaded balance sheet into the market, basically devaluing stuff, right? So now they have reduced their sell-off. This is the only thing that they did. Since they reduced their sell-off, Bitcoin pumped, right? Everything that we saw. But it's right. The scary thing is Bitcoin was born out of a recession, and this will be its first real recession if they let it come to that. So I think you are spot on with your concern, because we're really depending on how will they deal with it. Will they drop rates fast and quantitative easing fast, or will they really let the US and everyone else drop in a global recession? But you have to see one thing. There is a big opportunity in this. If Bitcoin gets completely wrecked and really drops low, that means everyone who wasn't able to become a whole coiner, like the fundamentals of Bitcoin haven't changed, right? Everyone else who wasn't able to become a whole coiner, they could become a whole coiner. If they let something like this happen, where the recession goes on for 2 years, and it's just a prolonged bear market, everything is different, yada, then there is a massive buying opportunity ahead of us. And then it's even that massive that I don't care about my other 50% of altcoins getting massacred, because the buying opportunity on the Bitcoin side will be so extreme that that it doesn't matter anymore. Obviously, it will feel very bad if our altcoins are going close zero in such a circumstance. And also there is a risk of, like, if this recession is really bad, that there are more wars and more turmoil are coming out of this, right? So this is also something that goes along with it. But let's talk about some more signs in the market, because I'm not done yet. Another thing that you have to see besides this is Bitcoin dominance. Look what Bitcoin dominance is doing. Bitcoin dominance is rising, and it actually has broken out of this way. I haven't touched this line. I haven't touched this wedge. We are here in the daily chart, and we're just pumping. We're just reaching the 58%, and guess what? The 58%, they are exactly our breakout target from, remember back when we drew this breakout wedge on Bit. It's basically our breakout target here, that we're reaching into this resistance zone. So we have reached the resistance, which is where we expect Bitcoin dominance to get massively rejected. It's where we have this, one second, if it's where we have this zone here, right? So we expect Bitcoin dominance to get rejected here, like we drew it in here. But it also shows you it's still Bitcoin season. Nothing has changed. We did not see any sign of altcoin season yet. And this is something you have to consider. Even though they cut the rates, and even though there might be a flash crash, and maybe this flash crash makes Bitcoin dominance pump and go to 60% on a quick notice, and then the turnaround, it all ties together. What if Bitcoin dominance pumps out of here and then comes back, falls into this like fake out, and then a massive altcoin season, right? Because of the financial bazooka that is hitting the market. It all comes down to global liquidity in the end. So now we have this, right? And what we are expecting is this, hitting our head and getting massively rejected at some point. But Bitcoin did not go into its expansion. So what is going to happen? Will we maybe go in here and go like this before we drop? Or will Bitcoin come out here, retest and fly off? Will that happen? it's a big question, right? And if that happens, our altcoins get wrecked compared to Bitcoin, which is why I'm always propagating the more than 50% Bitcoin rule. I know that it cannot fly off 100x, but also doesn't go like minus 97%, right? So I am sitting at 55% Bitcoin or so. Yeah, that's my play. Anyways, so this is Bitcoin dominance. It's very interesting to observe Bitcoin dominance here as well. So we will see how this happens. But right now on the daily, we are just, since this weekend, we are having this breakout directly with a retest. I have to zoom in very much because usually we are looking at like this. Look at this. I have not touched this line, and this retest is like, it's like picture perfect. It's crazy. Now, what's going to happen in the next days? We don't know. But it definitely shows us that there is no, and also this retest is here perfectly on top of this. So Bitcoin dominance is not done. We're at 57.85% and we're not done yet. Also, now this is important. This is very important. One of the most important charts ever. Doge is a Doge. So Mo Collection says this is not Doge, by the way, but Mo Collection says Doge is a good play. Trump wins, Elon gets political seats. So you have to see one thing. First of all, it's not guaranteed that he wins. The more that people think it's guaranteed, it's not, unfortunately, right? But it's not guaranteed, and if he doesn't win, there is no Doge department. And then this is a 50% gamble at the moment. And I'm not saying that because I think it's really 50-50, but poly markets thinks, like the betting market, the outcome markets think it's 50-50 more or less, right? So there's a very high uncertainty for this gamble, right? So now let's talk about this. So this is the DXY. And the DXY also has a clear correlation with Bitcoin, right? So DXY goes higher, which is the valuation of the dollar against other currencies. So the DXY goes higher. We had our double bottom here, and coincidentally, our double bottom was the double top of our last bull market, right? So we can also put this in here, like put a Bitcoin, sorry. This always happens to me because I am a TradingView noob. So give me a second here. Put this in here, and then put this as a overlay with its own scale. Okay, so DXY, double bottom in the DXY, double top in Bitcoin. Okay, very clear. I think undeniable correlation with only a little bit of like DXY basically being a leading indicator, like just like global liquidity, right? Now, DXY breaks out here from this double bottom and goes into a parabolic market, right? Bitcoin crashes like hell. Devastating bear market, right? So that's the correlation. And then DXY tops out, breaks this trend line, and what happens here at the break of the trend line? It's exactly our bottom for Bitcoin. Exactly. DXY falls off a cliff and forms let's say a pattern, sideways pattern, and Bitcoin already starts rallying, right? Okay, so now what's happening here? Basically, this is weird, right? So because the DXY, it went sideways to down, but the Bitcoin price did not break out yet. It did not break out yet. So now it's sitting at crucial support. Like this is one of the biggest supports we have ever seen in the DXY. It's basically going on since here. Okay, so it was resistance, it was flipped into support, fake out, but support. Very strong support, okay? Now, if the Fed cuts rates, the dollar gets weakened. But all other currencies in the world are also cutting rates at the moment. ECB cutting, Canada cutting, and so on. So they are also devaluing their currencies, right? Now, Japan is the only one that is rising because they're like completely like, never nuke a country twice and so on. Like they're doing their own thing with 0%, 0% interest rate and so on. But let's just assume this falls off a cliff and goes into oblivion, right? Goes somewhere into the darkness of this bottom, which is exactly what we want. Then that is like that. Here, massive support. See this? Let's draw it in. Massive support here. Broken, it falls off a cliff, completely broken, and Bitcoin goes on a tear, like insane bull run, and here as well, right? If we get the same thing, massive bull run. So it's very crucial for us to keep an eye on this DXY if it loses support, and if it loses support for good, right? We see here it's going down a little bit. We are already going up, and every time we're going down here, we have basically been pumping in Bitcoin. So also that is picture perfect indicator for us what's going to happen. Yeah, if not, Doge will run with crypto pump. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean you can do that play, of course. It's not for me because, as I said before, I'm not in meme coins. Now, last thing on this indicator stuff, and then we are moving a little bit forward. So this stream is going to be a little bit longer than I expected, but I hope you're not bored. Which, with 40 people here, I think you're not. So smash up the like button, please, please, please. If we can get the 40 likes here, I'm very happy. Also, don't let your coffee cool too much. Big sip of coffee. So what we are having here is there's basically two things to read this. This is the dominance of USDT, so Tether. If this goes up, Tether is being basically piled on. If this goes down, Tether is allocated to the market in most cases. So we have this rising channel, and I think it's the stronger pattern here. And we're just getting rejected from the upside of this rising channel, bringing us down. Also here, if we bring in Bitcoin into this and put this as an overlay, put this as an overlay, you also can see here it's basically doing the opposite. So while we are going up with the Tether, we're going down with Bitcoin, right? In this, like it's like a mirror. Now, if we lose this, we are going to, and this is our bull flag, we're going to break out here. We go break down here. It's like you see basically where the Tether is being allocated to. Okay. Also, picture perfect, right? There is, I mean, you see this Tether in the broader scheme of things. Tether being dragged out of the market until it moves sideways means Bitcoin crashes until it finds its bottom. Okay? Mirror. So what you want to see is that Tether loses all supports and crashes completely. But in the end, the reason why whales are allocating Tether to the market or drain it out of the market are the same factors as we were looking before. Global liquidity means more liquidity for the whales. Fed rate means it influences the decision of the whales, right? So this here is only a symptom of what's happening in the broader markets, right? So someone said the other X factors that can depress the Western markets is a very real impact of BRICS and de-dollarization and this pre-scripted narrative of geopolitical conflicts, threat of global war. It's funny because my chat program kind of filtered this out, which I hate because I hate censorship. But I got your comment. And I agree with you. But I think that the financial aspect of what's happening in the world is basically driving this, what you just said. So, for example, you see like the harder the crash into recession is, the more turmoil there is in the world, right? And my argument since a long time is that we are actually already in a recession since over a year, since basically here in this phase. We had banks crash, they got bailed out. This was where Bitcoin turned around, because for the first time people saw that even having stocks of Credit Suisse or whatever, you get wrecked on the weekend by market makers because you cannot trade it on the weekend, right? So I think that there are some shifts in the perception of people, right? But I agree with you. Like the BRICS is actually it's a new force, so to say, right? A new player on the world map. De-dollarization is threatening the current empire. Yeah, that's very true. Okay, so with all that in mind, so we have looked at global liquidity, we have looked at gold breaking out, which points into a crisis environment. But at the same time, like, we have these conflicts where we say, from all the indicators and everything, like, Bitcoin should pump. So all hints to a fast crash and then pump, right? So that is basically the summary. Now, it all comes down to where this guy comes in and what do we have next week. Let's talk about the real factors here. Key events next week. Fed manufacturing survey Monday. Okay, Monday starts already off with economic data that can shake up the markets. Then US retail sales on Tuesday, also important. Then Fed policy decision on Wednesday, the most important. And because if you look at the Fed watch tool here, you see that, it's 50-50. Let me get this for you. So, and this usually doesn't happen. I repeat that. That usually doesn't happen. Usually, when we are 3 days before this is happening, the markets made up their mind and they put a 90+% on what is going to happen. Now, the market is completely divided, whether it's a 50 basis point or a 25 basis point rate cut. The only thing where the market is not divided is that there will be a rate cut. It's not the question anymore. The market is certain there will be a rate cut. Now, 50% means there's uncertainty. Uncertainty means it's going to be very volatile. If uncertainty happens and then they speak and they take the decision, it's going to be volatile, right? So that basically happens. Then we will have the FOMC the FOMC conference, basically, Powell speaking, like he's coming in like a boss here. And then followed up on Thursday by jobless claims. And this is key, because if Powell says, recession is a very real threat now, it's going to be wild, right? But if he says, not that bad and so on, all controllable, and then the initial jobless claims also come good, it could be a little bit of a different story, right? So, and then also and then some manufacturing and existing home sales and FedEx earnings are also coming on Friday. So this week will be packed with economic data, and whatever goes out of the expectation is going to wreck the market, right? So it's going to be a super interesting week. So we have Generation Brand X here. Hey, what's going on? Barber King, also welcome to the stream. Sleeping Comics, hey, Patient Hodler, hey, Sleeping, what is going on? Good to see you, how are you doing over there? I've just visited the US. I think you are in the US, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. One day, Sleeping, one day we have to meet, right? I mean, in real life. If you are ever coming to Germany, you let me know. Anyways, that is what we're looking at. And also, now, China overnight economic data, right? China is in deep trouble. It is in a slump. because China has already pulled out the financial bazooka, has already added $500 billion on top of global liquidity, which is probably part of why global liquidity is breaking out. But they are completely missing all the key factor expectation and so on. There's unemployment rate, miss. Retail sales, miss. Industrial production, miss. Fixed asset investment, miss. There's more, there's exportation numbers and so on. So China, not good, right? Not good. You see very bearish data from China. So that is adding to probably some fuel to the fire, why investors could look with concern overseas, right? Then we have another interesting theory. I wanted to share this with you as well. So it's only a rumor. So please treat it like maybe, okay? It's only a rumor, but there is a rumor circulating that Coinbase is writing Bitcoin IOUs for BlackRock and they are suppressing the price together. And this could also explain why there are no outflows. Okay, listen to this. So an IOU is basically just a statement that, hey, we're making this deal and we're making it based on that. So BlackRock says we have this ETF purchases, so we want to buy Bitcoin, and Coinbase says I owe you, right? I owe you Bitcoin. So they're saying, okay, you have the Bitcoin, but the underlying Bitcoin actually isn't purchased on the market. That's the accusation. That is the rumor. So if that would be the case, then all of the inflows in BlackRock are not affecting the price because the underlying Bitcoin is actually not being bought. Which, Coinbase CEO already came out and gave a very nebulous answer to this, where you wouldn't really know what's going on, right? So if they are doing this, and this is suppressing the Bitcoin price, that basically allows then, until the price pumps, for BlackRock to buy all that Bitcoin cheaper when they really do the transaction, and really having to buy less, right? But Coinbase needs to have this Bitcoin somewhere available from their stockpile, whatever, to then bring it out. Again, it's only a rumor, but it kind of makes sense, right? It kind of makes sense. And you, to be honest, look at these players, you would expect something like that from them, right? Somehow. Anyways, only a rumor. Let's keep that in the back of our head, right? And then also the S&P has had its best week of 2024 in the middle of all this FUD. It's the best week, obviously driven by the big stocks. And this is a little bit of a problem because the big seven like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Apple, they're basically the drivers why the S&P 500 is up. And it's also the reason why the Russell 2000 is not up yet, right? So basically, if the Russell 2000 pumps, you can be guaranteed that then all hell breaks loose and we are back. But until then, the FUD will prevail. So we will see. We will see if this continues or if they also get wrecked in the next potential. And then look from the halving to here, the performance of the last runs, right? Second part of uncertainty, I already mentioned it. Markets hate uncertainty. The elections are an uncertainty. So last time, headed into elections, it's becoming clearer and clearer who is going to win or what's going on. And then you see here, this is the Obama cycle and this is the Biden cycle, right? I don't know where, probably Trump was in between or something like that. But yeah, he basically had from Obama to Biden somehow. He had the whole bear market. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, so this is the US elections. And you see that we should be curving up into the elections and then pump, all right? This is what we should do. But again, you have seen everything laid out before in the analysis, what's actually happening. And by the way, if you missed the whole analysis hour that just came, go back and watch it. I think you will like it. What's also coming to an end, and now we are a little bit more in the part of on-chain, is this. This is Bitcoin miner capitulation. So basically, from the halving until now, Bitcoin, or even before the halving, Bitcoin miners were kind of capitulating, right? And this is over now, as you can see here. So that also shows that there might be a reversal in the cards, just looking at Bitcoin. But again, keep in mind, these are only on tops on everything dealing with global liquidity and rate cuts and so on, which is the only thing that really matters, right? So then also, one thing that is a little bit interesting is, and I will show it to you here, I will roll this clip in a second. One thing that is a little bit interesting is all the asset managers, Larry Fink, Vaneck, Cathie Wood from ARK Invest and so on, they are all bullish. They are all bullish. Obviously, they are selling a product, but they also don't want to get their customers wrecked, right? I mean, imagine you're selling this ETF to your wealthy clients, and then Bitcoin dumps 50%, right? By the way, MicroStrategy also doesn't care. So they have all the access to the financial data and so on. They also can only guess, and they also can make mistakes, like buy too high and so on. But I think from their perspective, a lower Bitcoin price is just a buying opportunity. They don't care, right? Because they don't have Baby Doge whale coin that will go to minus 98%. So they don't need Bitcoin to go up in the next 2 months. If Bitcoin goes up in the next 12 months, they're completely fine, right? So you keep that in mind. But let's listen to this quickly together. It's very interesting.
So about a year ago, I started pounding the table because eventually the Fed is going to start easing here. That's great for gold and that's for Bitcoin. What I said is Bitcoin is growing up and will be eventually half the total market cap of gold. So that's about 350,000. So quite a ways to go from here. The super bulls, if central banks adopt it and it's part of the monetary system, then in the millions, but I don't like to talk about that too much.
What, more than 2 million? More than 3?
Yeah, like 2.9, we've got some model, which is, you have to look at the assumptions.
Right, well, yeah, there are always big ifs there. Where are you as an ETF guy with all kinds of different ETFs, everything from fixed income to, who knows, staples, consumer cyclicals, et cetera.
Yeah.
Where do you put your personal money right now?
I like longer term trends because I feel like, okay, it'll be a bumpy ride, but I like to have conviction about something that's going to happen in 5 or 10 years. Mm-hmm. To me, there's no doubt that Bitcoin is becoming adopted the way gold is. I just think it's obvious. Now, I think you have to have your own diversified portfolio, and kind of having a huge overweight to Bitcoin is a personal decision, but I just see that rising. I'll give you another example, India. The Indian economy is the best macro story. Everyone says the stocks are overvalued. I get it, but it's doubtless the Indian equities have done as well as U.S. equities over the last 10 years and will continue to do well. But he was a gold bug. So.
Yeah, anyways, so this is the video, and I think what's remarkable here is he's telling exactly what I said before the video as well. For them, it's a long-term play. So they don't care about your altcoin in the next 2 months. And they also know that their investors don't care. And Atakan Kaponibus, I hope I said that right, ETF brings bad things to crypto. I don't think so. I think that just that everyone needs to be aware that if they sell their Bitcoin and it gets absorbed by the ETFs, it's their own problem. But ETFs are just a vehicle. So the owners of the ETFs, it's basically a way for companies to enter the space, which is something that everyone wanted. Now it's here. Now people say it's bad. But what is important is if we have a savings plan strategy for our own and we're just buying, as Michael Saylor says, we're buying a fraction of the global money in whatever, 20 years or what, I don't know, right? Then if that is the premise, and we can see it here, like for him, like 10-year or whatever story is 350k Bitcoin. For big money, that as a base case scenario is pretty bullish, right? Now, he also has a 2.9 million per Bitcoin prediction in case that central banks adoption and so on is going on. But he also says he sees it as an adoption like gold. So the market cap of gold is it's 10 to 15x higher than Bitcoin right now. There is no other option for a 10 to 15x besides degenerate altcoins, but this is not available to those investors, than Bitcoin. That in itself becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Ankish is also here. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Patient Hodler, I have only Omi and VET. Yeah, this is a problem. Like, if you have only Ecomi and VeChain, you are sitting in two altcoins that are dependent on the well-being of Bitcoin. They will rally with Bitcoin, but they are also getting wrecked if Bitcoin gets wrecked, right? I mean, it is what it is, but I'm preaching to have Bitcoin. And this is not financial advice, but having part of Bitcoin in your portfolio will make you feel better, safer, right? I would never recommend to go all in altcoins. Never. It might be a far-fetched story, but the more centralized BTC becomes as the big players monopolize the supply, it could be the goal of BlackRock and others to lower volatility. Yes, it could be, but I think it will. I mean, volatility is going to lower anyways with adoption, and they're just part of the adoption. So I think it's more a natural thing to occur that the more players you have in the market and the more hodlers you have and the more history you have and people know what's going on, that the sell-off in the bear market is less hard, and the buying and the FOMO in the subsequent bull market is less hard. But I think there will be another 20 years of pretty high volatility until, like, you have to ask around out there. This really comes down to the retail user. Ask your colleagues just simple question like, what do you think about Bitcoin? Part of your colleagues will say, about what? Some people will say, oh, isn't that the scam, like the Ponzi scheme that is used for money laundering and buying weapons in the darknet or whatever? Some people will be like, oh, I'm not going to buy that shit. There's nothing real behind it. As if, and then you get to ramble about fiat, how there's nothing behind that as well. And then there are people like, oh yeah, but I prefer gold. Okay. And then there are these very few people that really get it, right? I mean, I think we are about 5 to 10 years out from many people getting it, and it being common like stocks. It's just not. If you say, oh, I have Volkswagen stocks, I have Lufthansa stocks, right? Speaking as a German. Then everyone's like, hey, good for you, cool stuff, and so on, right? But if you say, I have Bitcoin, people are rolling their eyes in their head. It's like, I don't care, I don't give a shit. Omi will change lives in 2025. We will see. Wes is bullish. Is it time to buy more Omi tokens? Okay, so everyone wants to talk about Omi, so I'm just skipping the rest here we will save the rest here for Crypto Morning Coffee and just jump right into the Omi story. So where's the Omi story? Okay, so Ecomi has had a little bounce here, and is reclaiming this support on the daily. So it's nothing to get excited about. It has been rejected here, found some kind of a small bottom, and now is trying to hold this support. The reason for that is, now I haven't, there you go. The reason for that is token update. In preparation for a new era of Omi utility, we will be permanently removing the remaining 221 billion Omi tokens in the Reserve Wallet and Vault wallets. This will be a multi-step process. Stay tuned for further news and updates as this is completed. Okay, so since someone that is a long time in Ecomi and has made videos about all the tokenomics that we've been seeing before, I can tell you something about this update. So the Veve app was originally planned to integrate the Ecomi token. For years, this has been the plan. So they had a vault wallet where Ecomi has been transferred into the out of that. They had a reserve wallet and a vault wallet, and then they had a burn wallet. And Ecomi would go from reserve to vault to burn, based on transactions made in the Veve app. This was the original plan. So there were about 300 billion or so tokens in that reserve wallet. Every time you purchased gems, they took the equivalent amount, dollar amount in Ecomi, and moved it into the vault wallet, which also made it possible to see how many gems were purchased for all these analysts with their spreadsheets. Because they always knew, okay, that much Ecomi, so this has been purchased. And then whenever someone either paid a fee, wherever gems went out of the app, the fees or direct purchases with gems in the primary market, they would take the vault Ecomi and move it to the burn. And then the ultimate goal was that they would replenish the reserve wallet out of the circulating supply, so that then circulating supply goes into reserve, initially through buybacks. So it would go out of reserve into it would go out of circulating supply into reserve. Buying gems makes it go to vault, spending it makes it go to burn. That way they would slowly decrease the Ecomi tokens in the circulating supply. And on the other way, they would give value to the Ecomi token, and as it becomes scarcer, there's more value to the Ecomi token. It gets burned via the mechanics, but you also would be able to buy in the app with the Ecomi tokens, which they're now doing via Stacker. Okay, so far so good. I hope you could follow me here. Now, what they did is they got rid of all of these wallets. It's not, this whole concept, gone. Everything gone. And the 221 billion tokens, they are the tokens that were in the system, and they're going to remove all of that at once. But it was already out of circulation, as it was all in the reserve wallet, which was not circulation, and or in the vault wallet, or already in the burn wallet. Now everything goes to burn wallet. They're getting rid of everything at once. But it was never in circulation, so it never influenced the supply. Now, what's the good news about this story? What's the good news about these 221 billion Ecomis? The good news is, technically, they would have been able to take these 221 billion and take it out of the reserve and put it back into circulating supply, which would have immediately doubled the circulating supply, almost doubled. They can't do that anymore once this is confirmed in a burn wallet. Once it's really burned. So then, so basically this only gives us the guarantee that we kind of already had that it's in circulating supply. So this is never going to hit the market. This is basically now guarantee confirmed it's not going to hit the market, which is good for new users that don't understand this, right? And that don't look up the old concept. It's good to see. And also it's good for like the coin gecko and coin market cap and so on, that you see it actually as burned, right? Because there were some of these information portals that had a bigger circulating supply that there actually is. And then there were another 3 billion stuck in IMX bridge, and they also moved it to burn. These are the 3 billion burn, right? So they had the 3 billion burn and the 221 billion burn. Now, does that reduce the risk of Ecomi plunging lower? No, it doesn't, because it wasn't already in the market. So the sell-offs that are going to happen do not have any, or that have been happening, they don't have anything to do with this here. This is already removing what has already been removed. It's just now permanent removed. Let's see you guys in the chat. Russ Gould says there will be so much sell pressure on Omi as soon as it goes up a little. Randy is always talking about his whale friends with hundreds of millions. Jojo says the Omi story is a non-event. We all knew reserve tokens were never supposed to enter circulation supply. Exactly my words. I agree. Russ says David and Dan somehow managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They had it in their hand in 2021, but screwed it up. Simple as I'm afraid. Burning, we will come to that in a second, because there are some points in favor and against that statement. Burning 221 billion Omi tokens is pretty massive. It would be massive if it was from the CS supply, but the circulating supply continues to be 270 billion. It's not coming from that. The circulating supply is still 270 billion, okay? Russ Gould says, I think David still thinks he is swapping cards in the school playground. I held for years. Constant token disappointment. Yeah, so I think there's a little bit of a misconception here. There's a little bit of also falsely managed expectations. No project in this circumstance can thrive at the moment. It's just not possible because of everything that we saw in this analysis before. The only thing that makes Ecomi at the moment worse than all other altcoins is something that I've already showed on Crypto Morning Coffee, and that is that in comparison to other altcoins, Ecomi did not turn around and take out their previous highs, right? So Ecomi has a more bearish technological structure or technical analysis structure because it's only going down, right? So Ecomi hasn't found its bottom yet. But that's also because it's in these realms of metaverse and NFTs. But it's true. Ecomi is not comparable to the other coins. Just let me give you a quick example for everyone who hasn't seen that yet. Actually, let me go to a link on Chainlink on Binance. Okay, so here you see this on Binance for Chainlink. So Chainlink has this, Chainlink has the most perfect. Actually, we had it on one of these. We had it all drawn in. Where is my drawings? I don't know. Here maybe. We had it drawn in, but maybe it's gone here. Whatever. So we had Chainlink has the. Oh, there it is. See, it's just because I had the lines turned off. Okay, so Chainlink formed a base and broke out, retested, and is ready to go, right? There's no doubt about it. It's one of the altcoins, what a nice and beautiful base forming. A picture perfect breakout, hitting the breakout target, forming a head and shoulders, coming back, retest, ready to fly off. Ecomi does not have this. So we go to our OMI chart, and I know it's very crowded, but basically you see Ecomi did the opposite. Ecomi found this base and broke lower, where Chainlink broke out and retested. So Ecomi should look like this if it was one of the top altcoins. And the problem is that Chainlink isn't the only one. You can go to whatever, you can go to Arweave. You go to Arweave and you see falling wedge, breakout, takes out the highs, retest on structure, right? What a massive by the way, we called this coin on this channel. I'm still oh my god. We are still up 430% from the bottom. Bam. Massive retest, ready to fly, right? Ready to put in the last big move upwards for Arweave. Just buy super instead of Omi. So I mean, so this is all on a technical pattern at the moment. Ecomi is where is it? Oh yeah, I have to go back to actually I can do this here. Where's my Ecomi though? Where's my Ecomi? I didn't save it, I think. I should have saved it though. This is my. Where is it? Anyways, let's go back to Ecomi. So this doesn't mean now the positive side. Oh, by the way, we have a free Ecomi chart here on a more free Ecomi chart to look at. So this is the base I was telling about, right? We have this base forming. We broke lower. This does not mean we can't turn around here. Because the moment that we do something like this and then retest on structure, this is the moment that I say we're on the way. Send it. Then we are already up like crazy. Because look at that. If we do something like this, we come up here, it's like a 6x, right? But no problem. $100 million coin, 6x, no problem at all. The problem is it needs to show the strength. And at the moment, we don't have it, right? So at the moment, we lost the space. Maybe also, I mean, what could happen? Like bearish retest, we confirmed that we're lower. If we can break into this and continue in the space and then break out, perfect. This would be like Wyckoff accumulation 101 or something like that, right? Perfect would that be. But that's not the case. That is not the case. And if you look at... we're still... By the way, this wedge is kind of playing out. So we're really really waiting for something magnificent to happen. And you have to see that for outside people, burning 221 billion OMI tokens, just this news, it still does something for people. So people read about this and like, wait a second. So the circulating supply is actually only that. Let me buy something, right? Until they see all the FUD posts and then they're scared. So this could be a problem. But so actually we can correct this a little bit. So it's not so it's more there and thereabout. It's 270 billion, right? We need to decrease this. The burn that we are seeing is not decreasing this, but the burn on Stacker, which is here, is going to decrease the OMI supply. So what we need is burns and OMI to NFT on Stacker. And Stacker needs to be available for people. And at the same time, we need a new roadmap from Veve. And we need that the Veve team, the Veve Ecomi team, it enables exchanges in the US for the OMI token. And we need Web3 catering for the collectibles so that all these Bored Ape whales and so on, they're like, okay, yes, I can self-custody this stuff, so that they want to buy this, right? So we need something that makes the speculators that then will sit in massive profits, given that we are pumping with Bitcoin, that they are going to take profits and just buy like crazy in the Veve app. And don't get me wrong. We have people that buy like crazy. For example, Bezosman. Like that guy is no joke. That guy is no small fish. Compared to what is out there as whales, Bezosman is a small fish. But compared to what is in Veve right now, he's not. So, yeah, that is basically what is going to happen. Burning is burning, whether from reserve supply or CS. Yes, but you get the idea that when it was never... Basically, these 220 billion tokens, they did not participate in the entire price building of the chart that you see here. They were never part of the price building. So removing them is a zero-sum game. Removing that just says they are not part of the price building. That's it. Russ says, disagree, Randy and his way friends will dump on you at the earliest opportunity. You can't blame him. He was a millionaire and it dumped to about 100k for him. I mean, a 10x is made quickly. the question is, so for everyone who is entering here, they can already take profits here, right? For all the people that went massive up here, they're the bag holders in the end, because the question is if price will come back to here, right? Probably here will be a massive sell-off zone, and here also. Yeah. Hey, Dutch homie, what is going on? That's fine. Then I'll just hold until 2029. Okay. I'm definitely not going to do that. At least not all of it. Maybe a little bit of it to act a little, to use it on Veve, right? Pink Panther says, all eyes on Stacker. How many millions a week could they burn? This is the important question. So you have to see that one thing that prevails is if there are $100 of fees paid, it will depend on this price how much will get burned, right? So we are at 0004. That means $40 on Stacker burns 100k Omi, right? $40 of fees. So that's roughly a 400 gem item being sold. Burns at the moment about 100k Omi. So whenever that happens, so that means a partner statue being sold via Stacker with Omi burns about 300k Omi in one transaction. That also means about 1 million Omi is burned if one of these gold logos, Veve gold logos, sells at $4,000. 4,000 gems, right? So this is one part of it. Like, these are the bigger burns, right? But basically you can say whenever something like this happens, you get this burn at this price. Now, at some point, people will make the calculation how many years it would take until the reserve significantly gets cut in half or whatever. And based on that, the price will rise. But if Stacker fails to burn much, well, then there needs to be another mechanic, or the price will stay where it is. Omi top will be around 008. I would be very happy with that. I would be like 10x or so. I would be very happy with that. Sokal Omi Homie says, GM from California. Hey Sokal, did you know that I was just there? Work-wise, I was in Long Beach for a couple of days. So that was a nice experience. Randy is a brilliant example of never get emotionally attached to any investment. And this is a very good point. Without, like, I've no personal, like, problem to say this, also because people are saying it about me that I'm a father or whatever, right? So I'm not. But the emotional side needs to be really taken out. And if you find yourself emotional, that's a problem. First of all, don't fall in love with your altcoins. And if you fall in love, set yourself a rule that you are going to get rid of your initial investment as soon as XYZ happens. And it needs to be realistic. The second point is, you should only listen to the critics of the project, right? For example, not in the sense of, oh, they are fudding me out, so okay, I'm out. But in the sense of, you are already bullish based on what you've seen before. Now listen to the critics and see if what they are saying is right. Because so far, many criticisms about Ecomi and Veve have been correct. About the price, about too much dilution, about too big whale wallets that are dumping on everyone, right? So critics, no matter how painful it is, they give you the necessary comparison, right? To check where you are with your investment, right? So for example, and also you can drive your own analysis. So for example, for me, it was relatively clear from base forming, I want to see a sign of strength, and then I might buy more. But until then, I don't buy more. Now we are down here, and I can buy basically at all-time lows because of that. But I'm not, because I know that if we don't see a sign of strength, we will go lower, and I will just get wrecked. So I might as well buy something else, right? So if we see a sign of strength, I can still enter these prices where everyone said this would be the bottom. After everyone said this would be the bottom, we found our bottom here, and then another one here, and then we formed the base, and then we found another bottom, and now we found another bottom, right? So it's you can exactly, Jojo. Don't marry your damn altcoins if you don't want to take profits. Someone else is going to. Exactly. If Omi ever comes back to even a quarter of a penny, that would be insane. I think that's possible just because of how the markets are moving and so on. It's possible. You just need one of the many possibilities of how NFTs come back, a little bit of narrative and burns to execute, and then you will, yeah. Sokal said Tabs Trades did a good job, but he was smart and bailed. Yeah, I know, I was busy. Sorry about that. Otherwise, if I would be there, I would arrange a meeting. But I was... it's not going to be the last time, I figure. Sorry about that. What would be the market cap at $5? Yeah, that's... no, let's not talk about $5. 5 cents is already outrageous. Like, share, and sub. Absolutely. Guys, we have almost 50 people here. A little bit of fluctuation, but almost 50 people here. Very long analysis stream. But yeah, like, share, subscribe. Omi is the gateway for all the crypto in the world to flow into Veve. Yeah, but only if it's worth putting it there. And by the way, there was a plan to have a crypto cash in anyway, so which is why I also did the play on the collectibles itself, because if you get a crypto cash in, Omi is worthless besides staking, but then you get the massive liquidity into the collectibles, right? Jojo, that's broken mindset. No, I think don't marry your damn altcoins is a very good mindset. And I think everyone who has entered crypto got wrecked on not having that mindset. I think you have to take profits. Otherwise, you will get wrecked. If you don't take profit. And I'm not saying now, but once things are flying, don't start. Let's say your stuff did a 20x, right? Then people calculate how much is missing to become a millionaire, and they expect the coin to do this. And that's usually where the top is. So it all comes down to all this analysis that we're doing in the first hour of the stream, which is also why there is no reason for me to sit here and ramble about this and that altcoin, because all altcoins together they are all moving together, and it's all because of Bitcoin and global markets, how they are moving. So there's really no reason. By the way, nice bounce here on this resistance. Nice bounce for altcoins. Do you see what is happening here? Can you see what is about to happen if we break this and Bitcoin simultaneously breaks the bull flag and simultaneously Bitcoin dominance tops out? This is the bull case. And it will even affect Omi. Because then people look at, oh, what didn't pump? Let me throw some money in there, because everything pumps, right? Can you explain that NFT liquidity thing again? Which one do you mean? Like how the money flows from Bitcoin to altcoins to NFTs? Or how liquid NFTs are in the market and why they're a little bit riskier than everything else. So there are two topics basically, but let me know which one you mean. If the US Fed decides to lower interest rates, you think we'll go get a bull run? Basically, the first entire hour of the stream was about that, Andrew. Sorry about that. I can't explain it all again, because otherwise everyone who's here is already getting bored by this. But if you want, and if you find the time, watch the stream from the beginning, because I basically explained how these two scenarios that tie in together with a crash and what could happen afterwards. Why would hold something that goes down 95%? I mean, you don't know before how much it exactly would go down, right? So afterwards, you're always slower. But you have to see that if something's down 95%, it has to do like a 10x or something to come back, right? So that's pretty crazy. Is my OMI okay on my ledger as ERC? Yes, it is. Because there was no migration to base. There's only a base OMI now. But, Howard, you have to be very careful. Don't send it as ERC to the Veve app wallet or to a base wallet. You will lose it. You have to, before that, you have to bridge. Or the only thing that you can do is send it back to your ERC20 exchange wallet and sell it. That's the only, once it happens. But also, don't worry, mine is also on a ledger, ERC20, and I'll just wait until the price comes back and I sell it. How you split your bet between NFT and OMI? Oh, yeah, okay. So basically, let me go into the OMI chart to do this. I'll just draw it somewhere else. So it's very easy. My idea is like OMI as currency, I am at 4.3 million. Not dollars, tokens. So that's not much. But I'm very happy with this allocation because it's, I don't know, it's not even 10% of my portfolio, but I'm fine with that bet, right? And then on the other side, I am, let me calculate. So 4.3 million OMI, how much is that? Is that 1.2, 1.3K dollars? Something like that, right? So this is collectibles, right? So I have about 10K dollars in that. So I'm like 10 to 1 at the moment. But this is because this dropped, right? I'm also down on Ecomi like everyone else. And if someone says, oh, I'm massively up on Ecomi, right? Listen, I don't know where and when, but other than people that took part in the seed round, no one is up on Ecomi, all right? There are certain content creators that are claiming that they are up on everything all the time. Also, some people, it's bullshit. I am about even on my collectibles, like 0%, more or less. I think my vault value shows 12K or something like that. And on the other hand, I am down 70% on OMI or something like that. So it's my worst performer in the portfolio. But also, it doesn't matter because either it comes back or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, the rest of the altcoins will do the trick, plus 55% Bitcoin, right? So basically, this is in a portfolio, and then it's like BTC, 55%, right? So this is basically the portfolio, and the rest is alts, other alts, like VeChain. By the way, VeChain more than that, right? But rest, that's the portfolio, okay? I have way more comics, Nianchan. I have way more comics because I think that comics have a big advantage over the traditional collectibles, and that is, first of all, the catalysts have not hit yet, like AR usability in showrooms. Secondly, there is a real market to compare prices to, but at the same time, they have the exclusive covers that are only on Veve, which gives kind of this, if you're a Marvel hardcore, you also want to have Veve because they have these exclusive covers. So I'm way more on collectibles, right? Just took a look at the early vid. Maybe we'll get a bull run once the final cut occurs. Yeah, once the final cut occurs, definitely. At some point, Financial Bazooka is going hard. Very helpful, thanks, Sissoko. By the way, please don't copy me on any like this, right? And also, this is all not financial advice. Not financial advice, like all of this NFA is just what I do. This channel is a journey. I'm trying something here, and I could get massively wrecked. Like, this all can get wiped out completely. Even that, yeah? So that's basically it. Like, it's a bet, it's a gamble, but also, and now this is the other side, everyone who says, oh, it's so risky, what's also risky is saving up your money in fiat and get debased every year. It's also risky. It's like risky as fuck. Patient Hodler, do you track the ETH to BTC chart? It's making a new cycle low. Yeah, I do. I'm looking at the pairs also. And it basically tells the same story as Bitcoin dominance. Because Bitcoin dominance is going up, which means that everything else gets wrecked against Bitcoin. And every altcoin is showing that chart. And actually that chart is a very important one, as you mentioned, but it's content for another stream, I would say. Because it basically says, if you had everything in Bitcoin right now, with the exception of like 5 altcoins or so, nothing's outperforming Bitcoin. Meaning, if you would be riding Bitcoin until now, you would be perfectly fine. You would be buying every altcoin if you use the Bitcoin. And buy the altcoin just right now, you would buy every altcoin at all-time low, guaranteed, until it makes a new low against Bitcoin. So it's very hard to nail the top, but in Bitcoin dominance, but it could be, like, I mean, we could be there, but who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe it's here, as the breakout target shows, right? So yeah, but it's a good point. I'm monitoring that, but I think that's something for maybe tomorrow at Crypto Morning Coffee. But it's a good point, Jojo. I like it. Andrew says, BTC is about 75% of my bags. Was a little less earlier this year when stuff was pumping. I think this is a great allocation. Because if everything goes to zero in the altcoin space and Bitcoin doubles, or whatever, like, even if Bitcoin, like, you don't lose as much. Your life is less stressful. And I think no existential stress is very, very important for us, right? Because, first of all, it's not healthy. Secondly, who the fuck wants to be stressed all the time? No one, right? So having more than 50% Bitcoin allocation portfolio gives, like, a lot of peace of mind, right? So, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out, what we discussed in the beginning. But so far, for Ecomi, this is where we are. This is where we are. Guys, I think for today, almost 2 hours will do the trick. I know I wasn't that active last week, but there's way more to come on this channel. I know I have to travel a lot for work, but I will do my best to keep you all updated. There will be Crypto Morning Coffee tomorrow in the morning, where we are going to go over some stuff that's relevant for next week, where we are in the cycle again. We're looking at what Jojo said. That is about 7 CET in the AM CET. That's at California, for example, that's like at 10 in the evening. So maybe accessible for some in the US. Let's see, Andrew says, I would like to swap more BTC for alts, but my wife won't let me. She's the more conservative one. In that case, she might be onto something. Sometimes they just have that, like the wife sometimes has the sensations, right? So guys, make sure to smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel, notifications on. Let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this, and wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. I thank all the rare hodlers, everyone who is discussing here. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow at Crypto Morning Coffee. Stay tuned for videos and shorts and whatever. Have a good one, everyone, and wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. I see you